I have always prided myself of my drive and my ability to pay attention to detail. But a very popular story, also made into a very successful movie, got me thinking whether that, which is paying attention to detail, is the most important element of success. Welcome back to Stories at Work, a series where I share real stories from across the world that you can use when you want to drive home a business point. Our website, storyworks.in, already has nearly 150 stories, and we are adding one every week. Let's begin today's story. It's April 13, 1970, Mission Control, Houston. Mission Control is monitoring Apollo 13, a mission to make the third human moon landing. The crew in space is flying in the command module. When they get closer to the moon, two of them will move to the lunar module while Jack Swigert orbits above them in the command module. At 9 p.m. that day, Jack Swigert, command module pilot of Apollo 13, picks up the radio and says 7 words that will define the next 4 days. Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here. An oxygen tank had just exploded. The spacecraft is 200,000 miles from Earth, limping through space. 3 astronauts and failing power. It's leaking oxygen. And in mission control, Gene Kranz, the flight director, does exactly what a great leader should do in the first minutes of a crisis. He goes granular. He tells his team, let's solve the problem, but let's not make it any worse by guessing. Get into the details. Every controller locks into their domain. The person responsible for monitoring all the systems that are powered by electrical things is deep in electrical data. The trajectory team is running numbers. Everyone is heads down, focused, drilling into their specific systems. The correct thing to do. And that's exactly right for those first minutes. But here's the moment I want you to remember. At some point, Kranz stops the room. Not because the detail work is done. It isn't. But because he realizes that fixing individual systems is no longer the right question. The right question is, what is the mission now? Is it to go back to the moon, find ways to make sure the mission is successful? Or is it something else? Because they can't save the command module. So stop trying to save the command module. Use the lunar module as a lifeboat instead to bring the astronauts back home. Here's what makes the call remarkable. The lunar module was designed to carry 2 astronauts to the moon's surface for 2 days. Kranz is now asking it to keep 3 astronauts alive in deep space for 4 days. This is not what the spacecraft was built for. But it's the only option. And seeing that option required him to zoom all the way out, to let go of the original mission, look at the full picture, and reframe the problem entirely. Once that strategic call is made, he zooms back in. Now, one of his controllers starts working out power budgets down to the single-digit amperes. The CO2 scrubbing team is figuring out how to make square filters fit round receptacles using plastic bags, cardboard, and tape. Every detail matters again. But notice the sequence. Details first to understand the situation, zoom out to reframe the mission, zoom back in, details again to execute the new plan. On April 17, 4 days after Houston, we had a problem here moment, the crew splashes down safely. It became what people still call NASA's finest hour. What a story. So what is the lesson here for us? When your team is in crisis mode or even just under a lot of pressure, are you only rewarding the people who go deep, who pay attention to detail? The ones who can tell you every number, every status, every update? Because that skill is essential. I'm not diminishing that. Remember, I had said earlier that it is one of my traits that I'm most proud of. But the person who knows when to stop drilling down, who can say, wait, we are perhaps solving the wrong problem here, that person is just as valuable, often more so. The zoom in gives you accuracy, the zoom out gives you direction. You need both. But you also need to know which one the moment is asking for. That's what Gene Kranz did correctly on April 13, 1970, and it brought 3 men home. I hope you enjoyed the story, and if you did, there are many, many more on our website, storyworks.in. See you next week. Bye for now.